So I'm going to talk about something important. It's really some kind of educational rant today, and this has come from a discussion that I had with a relative of my wife. And before I go ahead, please, if you are yet to subscribe, well, you're welcome. Please do subscribe and turn on the notification button so you'll be first to learn of every new video that is published on this channel. So let's get back to the topic for today. It's from the US here, but it has roots in Central America. And he was talking about how people from his hometown back in Central America don't think about investments in the sense of long term. And his concern was that a lot of the time people just think about today and you see what they can get tomorrow, maybe a year from now, but they don't necessarily think about 20 years from now, even 40 years from now, or even passing wealth to the next generation. I think it's not just a problem peculiar with his people, but I've seen it. Coming from Nigeria, I really understand how people just think about the now and they don't think about the far tomorrow, so like several years from now, because I think the human mindset does not think that 10 years or 20 years is by the corner. Just a few years ago, in 2011, I graduated from my bachelor's, and I never thought about how 10 years from 2011 was gonna be. But just in retrospect, I see that, wow, look at how time has flown by, about 14 years. And I can imagine if I'd begun to make some money moves right from that time, and it could just be little moves, right? Until now, I just wonder the compounding that would have happened. And not just that, just how passage of time, you just look back and 10 years is gone, 15 years is gone, and it's just amazing that way. And it makes me project into the future that, hey, it may look like 10 years is quite a stretch away. It may look like 20 years is quite a stretch away. But if that's me who was in high school just a few years ago, who was in elementary school just a few years ago, is now all PhD'd up and all grown, and it's 20 years, it's 30 years have passed, more than 35 years has passed, and I'm thinking that, hey, in a matter of time I'll be 70 if God wills, right? So, well, that's why it's just important to reflect on how to begin to think not just about what works for next year, but what works for 20, 30, even 40 years from now. Very recently, I presented some financial education, and it's usually free, right, to a group of people, and one of them just reached out to me and said, hey, I loved what you presented. I think I want to learn more. I want to know how to implement strategies that plan for the future in the long term. Then I had a follow-up meeting with him and just showed him how to begin to use some of the strategies that I teach about and just use it to plan for the future. And it's quite mind-blowing, right? One of the first questions he asked was, hey, if I need this money, I think it says 6 months or 1 year, would I be able to get it? I had to just keep a smiling face, but within me, I just wanted to tell him how narrow-minded he was. Really, look, if you want to save money for 6 months, just keep it in the bank. Just when you're ready for it, just walk over to the bank and get your money back, right? Or you can use a high yield savings account, and anytime you need your money, you get it. But we are talking about long-term investments, and his mind, in fact, he made this particular statement that, hey, we cannot be thinking about the needs of now and be worrying about the age 65. like, wow. I mean, I just don't know the pits from which that mindset comes from. Really, it's mind blowing to me. I just see this, people just, maybe it's just exposure, right? And that's why I come with this education. I come with this encouragement. I come with this instruction, so to say, that you need to stop thinking, or not just merely, of course you have to think about now, but not just think about now, but also think about how also important the future is. It's very important. Let me tell you the implication of not thinking about the future. I'm pretty close to, I'm a few years away from 40, and 10 years from now I'll be a few years away from 50. I mean, I feel energetic now. Sometimes I go to the gym, sometimes I jog, and yeah, I feel strong. I can work as hard for several hours as I would like to right now. But at 50, I'm not sure. I don't know. I hope and I pray that I still have the strength that I have now. But 50 is 50, right? And I wouldn't want to come to that age of 50 and be exerting myself the way I'm exerting myself now, because, especially for money, because I never learned how to structure finances for the future. I know a nurse, and this nurse would always complain about how she's just tired of her job. And the problem is, it's a very physically demanding job. You have to carry, you have to walk down the hallway, you have to do a lot of stressful things in that profession. But a lot of people, that's all they know. Number one, they are not learning how to save money for when they'll be tired and they just want to stop, or just cut the working hours, maybe from full time to just quarter time, or just simply retire and do volunteer work, really. But when a person does not plan holistically and all they know is nursing, now at that point when they are tired, they would just still have to keep at it. Now they would grudgingly go to work, they would be tired, it would even make them sick easily, right? It would, all this pain, back pains. Somebody was telling me that he had a back pain and he does some kind of job that is close to what a nurse does. And he said he went to the doctor about all of these pains, and the doctor checked everything and they said nothing is wrong with him. And I said, yes, nothing is wrong with you. You're over 50 and you're working this hard. You really need to find something else to do. And he laughed. Yes, that's absolutely, if he takes time to rest, he will discover how healthy he is. But he cannot rest because he has not really planned so well for 54. If you're young, like 30, 20, even as long as you are 18 and you're able to work, begin to plan for the future. Begin to set yourself up for a successful future. Just think about all of the things that can come in old age. Old age is when people are susceptible to critical illnesses. People are susceptible to chronic illnesses. Just susceptible to all sorts, just tiredness, and you really want to have built a good nest. And in the US today, a good nest is usually considered $1 million and upwards. Really, $2 million. Really, that should be the average for the average person. So, but if you have not even started, how are you ever going to get to $2 million? You've not even put in 50 every month, or maybe 100 every month, or if you have more power too, 500 every month. So if you have not started and all that's in your mind is, hey, how can I get the money out tomorrow? How can I get the money out next year? How about if I need to buy a car next year? Those are just very silly questions. Those are narrow-minded questions. Those are questions that come from the mind of ignorance, really, and it needs to change. So I want you to, in fact, if I could make you take an oath and just raise your hand and say, hey, I'll be thinking long term. Okay, say it after me. I will be thinking long term. Oh, good. Yes. So let's change the mindset. Let's begin to think about financial strategies that is for the long term, that compound. There's something called compound interest. They say it's the eighth wonder of the world. And if you understand it, you really benefit from the understanding of compounding interest. And compounding interest is not really significant after like 2 years. No, you don't see compounding interest. In fact, it's not significant after 5 years. Really, you hardly see the power of compounding interest after 5 years. But come to 10 years, then it begins to explode. Your money just explodes at you. Come 20 years later, you then just see the ripple effect of multiplication, just because 20 years ago you began to change mindset, have the right mindset towards finance, have the right mindset towards long-term investments, just growing your money and just stopping to ask that, hey, can I get this money back tomorrow, or in the next 6 months, or in the next 1 year, or the next 2 years? So, hey, put this to heart and tell yourself that I need to start now. I need, like, in fact, you're already late. Like, you are late to the party. So now that you are hearing about this, you need to take fast forwarded steps, right? Since you are already lagging behind. So how can you fast track this your goals to building for long term? So long term. Knock this into your skull, and not just knock it into your skull. Do something about it. I promise that less than 10% of people watching this video will do something about it. Like, I think I suspect that you would not do anything about it. Yes, because the way you are looking at me, I don't think you will do something about it. If you do something about it, 1, you subscribe. Number 2, you probably hit me up in my email. I'm gonna leave it in the description. Let's chat about how you can get started just building for the future, right? It's easy, simple steps, easy steps, just boring strategies that 20 years from now you'll see the power of compounding interest. 30 years from now you'll see the power of compounding interest. So thanks for listening to this very short rant. I hope somebody takes these lessons and just acts on it. You see, knowledge is not power any longer. It's applied knowledge that's power. So see you next time, and just enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.